check, check. 1, 2, Zoom test, check, check. Shelby or Peekskill, if you guys can hear us on the live stream, can you put a note in the comments or in the chat, please? YouTube feed, how about now? Can you hear us any better?
I can hear you.
All right, let's Hello, everybody. All right, we're going to start this thing off here. I don't know. Hello, everyone in the building on Zoom and on YouTube. So we're actually streaming to two different places this year. A little bit of housekeeping before we get things going for everybody in the room right now. Restrooms are out this door, all the way down the hall. Once you can turn to the right, take a right, and there's men's, women's, and a family restroom at the all down the hallway there. Welcome to the 4-H Training Center. This is our home away from home. Our robotics team mostly lives next door. We also have this space for when we need it for some of our events, like today. And then we're also working on a machine shop over in the next building. So this is kind of where we spend all of our time and have all of our fun.
All of our time.
All of our time. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Tyler Russell. I am the coach of RoboVines, and I am also the region's lead FTA. My mother, Lisa, whose microphone is not turned on, Ethan. Can you unmute her mic?
Uh-oh. Okay, so my official role today is the head ref of the Excelsior region. So, hi. Also a part of this crazy building and this crazy world that we live in, so.
So for those of you on Zoom, the plan for today is if you guys do have questions that you want to ask, one of our members, Ethan Thomas, is going to sit behind the computer for most of today, and he will be able to see if you raise your hand. So raise your hand in Zoom. He will make sure that we're aware of it, and then we'll have you unmute and be able to ask your question. Anyone on YouTube, you can put your questions into the chat. Ethan, again, is monitoring the chat, so he will be able to see those, and he will let us know about
That way.
questions on there.
Sorry, we're getting a message that we're buzzing in the thing, so we're trying to make that better.
And then anyone in house today, if you guys have questions, we actually have a microphone set up over here that you guys can ask questions into. That way people on the stream can hear your questions.
And don't be intimidated by the mic. Just come on. It's not for us in here, but it's so that everybody else can hear. Come on in, Jane. So, do you want me to start with what I was going to do first? Okay. All right. So, there's been a lot of stuff that has come out from FIRST. All of it is access to all of you at this point, but I wanted to go over a few of the key things that we had seen so that everybody was aware of some of the changes, and then we'll go from there. So the first big change and the first thing they announced is there is now only one game manual. We used to have game manual 1 and game manual 2. Now we just have a competition manual. So from now on, what you'll hear is the comp manual is what it's being called. So it came out in July with just the basic stuff that you guys, you know, the changes and all of the hardware side of it. And then today it will be released with all of the game information and all of the other stuff that's pertinent to this year. What that means is that everything is going to be a part of that manual. The Q&A still exists, but the Q&A is not going to be the ultimate. The ultimate rules are going to be part of the competition manual. So one of the things that we're doing as a region already is we are going to put the game manual or the competition manual right on a tablet, and that is what us as refs are always going to be referring to because it's going to change. So every 2 weeks, FIRST is going to come out with any of the changes that they've seen. The Q&A still exists, and the Q&A will be more of a like, is this legal, is this not legal, not so much fine tuning, because as refs now, we can't use the forum at all as our basis. The only thing that is our basis is that competition manual. Competition manual, if anybody's looked at it, that when it came out, it's changing a little bit. Like it's changing. They have a whole way of putting things in. They're going to highlight anything that's new so we can see it. They'll be crossing things out. They'll be cross-referencing stuff. So it is going to be a big document, and a big document that that everybody wants to have a part of. Q&A will open on September 16th. So as you have questions today and going forward, the Q&A will open the same way it always does, using your team email, first or second coach, and then just go on and ask the questions. They have said that they will put their answers out on Thursday, and usually by 1 o'clock, so that we have them and we're ready to start on Saturday. Portfolios are no longer required. They are highly recommended, but they are no longer required. Probably my least favorite rule of this whole thing is that you don't have to do a portfolio. I would tell you, you should always do a portfolio, but it's not required. What it is, once you get to see the award criteria on certain awards, it is required. So it hasn't totally gone away, but if you don't want to do one, you don't have to. You all want to do one. Everyone nod. Everyone wants to do a portfolio. Because it's a key part, and it's a key part that you guys take away from this program is documenting what you've done and figuring out what is your most important. So, again, it's come out that it's not required, highly recommended, and for some awards, once you see award criteria, some awards it's not optional. In that, control award, gotcha. Sorry, yes it is. Yes, it is. Sorry, it's this whole playing the game of what do I know because I know after 12:30, what do I know now? But it's on here as I know now. Control award is no longer its own document. It is going in as part of your engineering notebook as well. So now the control award will just be part of what you put in. So we have for the last couple of years, you guys have been putting, your control award should be going back to your portfolio and saying, here's where you find proof of this. Well, now that's it. That is what's happening. So the control award is part of it. Control award is still part of your 15 pages. So your pages have not, you have not gotten a bigger portfolio. It's part of the same portfolio. Express enrollment. So enrollment has always been kind of yucky because it's always been a challenge. I've had parents that have been on my team, I've had whatever. This year, for coaches, they've made it much simpler, and there's an express enrollment. So last night, because I don't do anything early, I actually sent them to a bunch of my, what you're gonna get, you go on, you hit express enrollment, and you get a QR code or a link. And now everybody just clicks on that QR code or the link, and it comes right to your team. I hear that you fill out a few simple things, because I didn't have to fill it out, and you're done. So I sent it, and within 20 minutes, I had 3 kids enrolled, which has never happened. So as coaches, use the express enrollment. It's right on your dashboard. It's really cool. Team calls from FIRST. So team calls, FIRST is going to run a team call on gameplay and rules. There's like 3 different things. So watch the, am I moving? Sorry, is that better? So watch FIRST, and there are gameplay calls that are going to happen right from FIRST that you guys can go on. We are going to continue to do our coaches calls in the Excelsior region like we usually do every other Thursday. So of course, coaches can get on those. I would like to see you guys do some, we're working on trying to figure out how to get you guys to connect within the region. We're just not quite there yet. So, but do keep in mind that there are team calls right through FIRST that you guys can use. There is no more promote award. They did away with the promote award this year. basically they said that it was very low involvement, people doing it, so they took it away. So you can promote all you want, just not to submit. So a couple of actual Excelsior regions, and then I'm going to turn it over to Tyler because there's a bunch of his side of the stuff. And before you can register for a competition in the Excelsior region, you have to be registered with FIRST. We are going to try to really adhere to that. And I understand that you guys have school districts that you know, some of you out there in the world that are having to worry about school districts paying and all that stuff. Just start it early, please, so that we're not, because if you, when you go to register with FIRST, everybody has to be YPP'd. You don't want to find out 2 days before a competition that you can't be YPP'd, because then we're jumping through all sorts of hoops to try to get it to go through faster, and it doesn't work. So please register early and register. I believe registration for competitions will open probably mid-October is usually when we open them. So if you can just push your team, push your school districts, push whatever to register, so that we're done. I believe we have a slide somewhere. We have most of the competition dates set, and we will talk about that later on. And we're doing again this year, if you go to a December competition, you are guaranteed your 3. So if you go to December competition, you are guaranteed that you can for 2 more for January, February, whatever. If you don't do a December competition and you still want to do 3, your 3rd one will be waitlisted until we figure out that we've provided for everybody else. It's to get you guys to compete early and often. People were scared to register for a December competition because, oh my goodness, I'm not ready. Well, you know what? Neither is anybody else. So come, see where you're not ready and why you're not ready, and then move on. But then it automatically gives you an option of, then you can pick your other 2. So, and that is all of my stuff, and I'll move on to you.
All right. I have a couple of things. The first thing really to start with is that there are a lot of changes this year. So everyone, when you're looking at the new game manual, you should pretty much act like you're a rookie and you've never done this before, because that is kind of how different this game manual is. There are 2 really big changes that I wanted to talk about before noon. Ethan, can you put up the team number first slide? So first, it's changed how we're doing team numbers on our robots this year. No longer the number and an alliance marker. Now what it is are these team boards. So you have to have a team, a number board with your number on the front in white numbering, and then the board needs to be the color of the alliance that you are on. So you'll need a blue set and a red set that you can switch out easily. There are dimensions that it has to be, as you can see on the screen right now, 6.5 by 2.5, with a 1/4 inch border all the way around it. So the numbers have to be 2 inches by however long your numbers are. So if you only have 2 numbers, it can be a smaller area than that. Ethan, can you put up the second team number slide? So if you only had 3 numbers, for example, like 117 here, you can put the first logo to fill up some space, or you can leave it blank. But the only things that can be on these boards is your number and the first logo in that white coloring. Everything else has to be the color of your alliance, and that's it. Got a question? Got a microphone for you. Has to be the full 6.5 inches, yep. Yep, it has to be 6.5 by 2.5, even if you've only got 2 digits in your number. So some people are going to have some big digits. I know Technotrix 18 there is going to have a lot of empty space. But that's what FIRST wants. Another question? Look at the spec again. Ethan, can you go back to the first one? Greater than a 1/4 inch, yep. So it can be a 1/4 inch or bigger, it just can't be smaller. And that's for all of the dimensions. All of the dimensions, they can be bigger, but they can't be smaller, except for it looks like they want the height to be a solid 2 inches. Yeah.
Can it be vertical?
So no, I don't think it can. Check the game manual to verify, but I believe that they want the numbers in this order. So go back to slide 2. I believe they want the numbers lined up like that and not stacked vertically. I don't know if you can take this plate and put it sideways though. I'm not 100% sure on that. Also note that they're talking about if you make like a round one, you have to be able to fit the box inside of the circle. So you can't cut the corners off. You have to add outside of the corners. So that's one of the 2 big changes that we're going to have to deal with this year. The second one, Ethan, what's the other one labeled? Expansion. Oh, yes. Go ahead and put up expansion slide 1, please. So the other thing that they're changing on us this year is the robot expansion rules. Okay. The other thing they're changing on us is the robot expansion rules this year, which are going to add a little bit of a complexity on building our robots. So these robot rules, I know they've been out. I know a lot of people who are online have probably seen these already. The basic thing that you guys need to understand as to how we're basically inspecting for this is that we're going to have a box on the floor that is 42 by 20 inches. We're going to have a taped out rectangle on the floor. You're going to put your robot in that rectangle, extend all of your attachments to their full extension, and we're going to verify that it stays within that box. So if you have a front slide extension that extends out 30 inches, then you can only have a 12-inch robot and nothing coming out the back. So it's not a limit of expansion at a time, it's a total expansion limit. So that's something that I know there's a lot of confusion about online. So I wanted to cover that a little bit and really explain how we're inspecting it, because I think that's the easiest way to understand what they are looking for. And it's that literally however we put your robot down, you have to expand all of your attachments, your arms, your intakes, your whatevers, and then we're going to measure from there and make sure that you fit within that box. Go to slide 2, Ethan. Although I don't think so. Then they just had some warnings on the next page about making sure that you understand. Basically, if you have a big tank cannon on the front of your robot, when you start turning that thing, it's going to go outside of the working zone, and then that's violating the rules. So it's whatever your robot working area is doesn't move with your attachments. It only moves with if your physical robot spins. Those are the 2 really big changes that we have this year. Like I said, there are a lot of other little changes. So server limits and software minimum. So we'll start with server limits. They've changed our server rules a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but it's based on a power consumption this year. So basically, you just have to make sure that your servos fall within the right power band, and that's it. I think they tweaked it a little bit. I think they got rid of some of the super powerful servos because we were seeing a lot of robots basically brown out themselves. So because they were seeing power issues with that, they got rid of some of those servos. What was the second? Software this year. So first has come out this year for our software versions and has said that they're not mandating a software version. So this season's software SDK is 10.0. They're not mandating that everyone has to be running 10.0 on their robot. That being said, please run 10.0 on your robot. The reason that they're doing it is because there were people at events that were showing up with improper firmware versions, and they were getting updated at events, and it was corrupting all their code, it was bricking their robots, and it was causing a lot of issues at events because people were doing updates. So obviously we don't want to do that. For the most part in our region, we weren't doing that. We were telling you guys that if you were at the wrong version, it was your first event, let's just run the day and we'll do it later. The only time we would ever do that is if like we were able to pull your code and do a backup. But now they're not mandating it in the rules. So if you show up with an out-of-date software version, we definitely won't update you. But that being said, please don't show up with an out-of-date software version because all of my FPAs and all of the refs and all of the inspectors, they're going to know how to run this software version and maybe last season's software version. We're going to know the bugs that we were seeing in those two versions. We're not going to know how to necessarily handle the bugs from a version that's 4 years old or 5 years old. So definitely when you get back to your rooms, to your meeting spaces, to your whatever, update your firmware, update your SDKs in Android Studio, make sure that we're running 10.0. But do know that if it's a week before competition and you realize, oh my gosh, we're on the wrong version, just come to competition after competition. Don't push an update to your robot a week before competition to try to get to 10.0. That's all I really have. I think from here we have a welcome video from Tina, and we have a gracious professionalism video from First. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to play the two of those. I was going to take a break after that before. So we're going to play the two of those videos, and then we're going to take a little bit of a break from when those are done to noon to kind of go have a little walk around, go to the bathroom if you need, and then we'll do the kickoff video. But let's start with Tina.
Hello to our New York Excelsior teams and volunteers. So it's finally a water game this year. Welcome to the Into the Deep game season. Greetings from myself, Tina Betts, First Tech Challenge PDP or Program Delivery Partner for the New York Excelsior First Tech Challenge region. Mohawk Valley Community College, or MVCC in Utica, New York, is proud to be the generous and enthusiastic partner organization for your fantastic region of teams, serving all of New York State except for New York City and Long Island. Thank you so much to the 21 fantastic volunteers and kickoff coordinators who've helped make today at our 6 New York Excelsior kickoffs possible in Peekskill, Buffalo, Corning, the Albany area, Utica at MVCC, and at Clarkson University. Your time and efforts are greatly appreciated by everyone here today. It is a very exciting day worldwide as the new First Tech Challenge game will be revealed to over 8,000 teams today. It's really amazing to think that we're all part of such a huge global community. Everyone is excited to see your team's development this season. On behalf of MVCC and First, I want to share a message of support, community, and admiration for all you do that is creating life-changing experiences each first season. We love that our Excelsior region teams exemplify gracious professionalism by simultaneously competing, instructing, and learning, and especially by treating everyone with respect, empathy, and thoughtfulness. There are many exciting changes this season that you'll learn about by thoroughly reading through the competition manual. We will navigate these changes together and, as always, grow as a community together, onward and upward. To participate in this exciting competition season, please register with First as soon as possible in your First account dashboard. Teams need to be registered with First before competing and preferably before even registering for our New York Excelsior qualifiers. Also complete any outstanding tasks in your First dashboard and make any necessary updates. Team member registration has been simplified with express enrollment through First, so encourage your team members to use that. Coaches should consistently keep an eye on email all season from my mvcc.edu or my first partner's email addresses. Our important constant contact emails will come from first@MVCC, but the email for that comes from our larger department email address, which is info@mvcconnected.org. And you'll receive emails from our region's super helpful first senior mentors, Lisa Russell and Rebecca Buell, from their firstinspires.org email addresses. Also, please read all the First Tech Challenge Team Blast emails sent directly from First Headquarters. Coaches, please forward all these communications to your team members. Links to all these emails can always be found toward the bottom of our First@MVCC Team Resources webpage. And now on to some New York Excelsior specific news. All but 2 of our Excelsior qualifier competition dates are set. That information can always be found on our First@MVCC events webpage. Qualifier tournament registration happens through myself and MVCC, not through your first dashboard. Registration will open near the end of October for our qualifiers. You'll receive a few emails from us before then with more details. And as always, start any research using our First@MVCC web pages to find all the important information and team resources you'll need. And of course, utilize the First Tech Challenge website web pages, especially the game and season page. Thanks to our new sponsor, Upsilon Robotics, a New York Excelsior Team Innovation Grant has been created. More details and an application link will be released soon about this new financial resource. The Upsilon Robotics Innovation Fund will offer support for specific costs, assisting New York Excelsior teams to develop, grow, and innovate. Upsilon Robotics is a startup company founded by 2 fabulous First alumni, and they are proud to be an important sponsor for the New York Excelsior region. Thank you so much, Upsilon Robotics. Also, thank you to our fantastic new social media and engagement committee of volunteer alumni, spearheaded by Upsilon Robotics. They are all composing much of the new content for our now much more active NY Excelsior First social media on Instagram and Facebook. Please like, follow, comment, and share. The links are in each of our constant contact emails and will soon be added to the web pages. So at 12:30 today, the game and competition day rules will be released and added into the competition manual. Coaches and team members need to read the entire manual, which is taking the place of the former game manuals 1 and 2. Stay current with all the bi-weekly updates throughout the season. The competition manual is always accessible on the First Tech Challenge game and season webpage. This is your go-to page for every season. Team questions can be asked on the Q&A forum or on the team calls that First will hold throughout the season. By knowing all the rules, competitions can be as successful for every team and volunteer as possible. The best alliance partners are very familiar with the game rules, competing by graciously strategizing and collaborating, and treating each other and all of our hardworking volunteers with respect. Have fun at our New York Excelsior Kickoff celebrations today and with all your upcoming brainstorming, innovation, and teamwork. We look forward to making a splash together this season. Splash. Thank you for making our region so awe-inspiring. Onward and upward. Inspire and be inspired. Be New York Excelsior proud.
And let you guys get up, stretch, whatever, go to the bathroom.
cradles, profanities. I see gold through ice closures and bleach. Cross out the ones who hurt my cause and watch me run. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Content, hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Breathe faster to where stuck in. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out. Be carefree lately, yeah. Just kicking up daisies. Got one too many quarters in my pocket. Spinning like the four-leaf clovers in my locket. Untied laces, yeah. Just tripping on daydreams. Got dirty little lullabies playing on repeat. Might as well just write a nursery and count sheep.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go.
to start with the gracious professionalism video from first, and then we are going to play the game animation. Oh, this thing's on. Oh, shit.
Gracious professionalism is the positive, kind, and respectful way in which we treat each other. It's the reason that the FIRST community is so special.
It's about balancing competition and cooperation. And it's all about cooperating in a time of manner. Well, even though there's stress, even though there's conflicts, we should always be in a respectful and kind manner to no matter who we are talking to.
In a first setting, it's being nice to your teammates and being willing to lend a helping hand, even if you know, next match you may be competing against them.
Our team tries to use gracious professionalism as an event by always supporting other teams, be willing to lend parts to others, and showing kindness to others no matter the outcome of a match.
I was competing against another team and they had forgot to charge their battery. So I had one that was fully charged and I handed it to them because I wanted it to be a fair match and to make sure that everyone was having fun.
Helping a kid who rarely smiled because he had a rough time light up with joy when he had his first robot move, and that gave me so much joy because I know that made his day, maybe his week, maybe even his year.
I want to be a leader and like a person people can look to for support and help.
You can be a gracious professional both in your everyday life and in your future just by being kind and respectful to everyone and helping everyone out.
I work hard to learn technical skills so that I can help run local events in the community, and I actively mentor others to do the same.
When I go to school, sometimes we have group projects and they're a little bit tough, and gracious professionalism can really help me through that with the collaboration and feedback sessions.
We can, build sort of this ecosystem where everyone is happy and everyone's respecting each other and flourishing together as a family.
Hello, FIRST community.
Teams, coaches,
Mentors,
Volunteers,
Alumni,
sponsors,
Parents,
friends.
Everyone.
We are the 2024 FIRST Tech Challenge Dean's List Award winners, and honored to be your host for today's celebration. Welcome to the FIRST Tech Challenge 2024-2025 season kickoff and reveal of Into the Deep, presented by RTX, all part of the first dive season presented by Qualcomm.
we have an awesome show for you with special messages from a few of your first faves. And of course, the highly anticipated reveal of the 2024-2025 game. All of the Into the Deep game materials will be published on our website after the broadcast, so please use the website as your reference during the season. But before we dive in, here to share his excitement is first Chief Executive Officer Chris Moore.
Hello, First Tech Challenge community. Welcome to a new year of problem solving, creativity, and discovery. I'm thrilled to be part of today's reveal of Into the Deep, presented by RTX. You are among more than 100,000 First Tech Challenge participants around the world who will uncover the potential in each of us to strengthen our community and innovate for a better world with healthy oceans. A special thank you to our generous sponsors, including the First Tech Challenge season presenting sponsor, RTX, for making Into the Deep possible, and First Dive season presenting sponsor, Qualcomm, for helping us explore the future. And my sincerest gratitude to you, our participants, our coaches and mentors, our volunteers, and our passionate supporters around the world. Thank you for making First Tech Challenge the successful, engaging, and fun program that it is. On behalf of all of us here at First, wishing you the best of luck as you embark on this new season. We can't wait to see what you discover beneath the surface of the oceans, within yourselves, and in collaboration with each other.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. An enormous thank you to all our supporters and generous sponsors this year for making the first dive season and Into the Deep game possible. Each season, the work you do together to solve problems and make waves with your innovations reminds Qualcomm that the future of breakthrough technologies needs you.
Hello First Tech Challenge teams, and welcome to Into the Deep, part of the first dive season presented by Qualcomm. I'm Vanitha Kumar, Senior Vice President of Engineering at Qualcomm Technologies. Beneath the ocean's surface lies our planet's most complex ecosystem, full of life and potential for exploration and learning. Like these ecosystems, beneath the surface of every new technology lies a community of inventors, collaborators, problem solvers, and creative thinkers. We all have a role to play in building a thriving future, like wireless reach to support sustainable fishing or digital positioning services to improve supply chains across the oceans. As your team explores uncharted waters this season, what solutions will you come up with? How can your STEM skills innovate for a better world with healthier oceans? Good luck, teams. Let's dive in.
Thank you, Qualcomm. And now the Into the Deep season presenting sponsor, RTX, is taking us beachside to share some of the ways they're using innovation, teamwork, and STEM skills to help monitor and sustain healthy oceans.
Welcome to the 2024 First Tech Challenge season, Into the Deep, presented by RTX. During this year's competition, you'll dive your robots into the depths of the world's oceans to explore the unknown. This ocean behind me is so much more than what you and I can see. Beneath the surface lies a vast and complex ecosystem. You'll learn about that during the Into the Deep season. But at RTX, it's part of our mission. Every day, we're focused on advancing sustainable aviation, reducing energy and emissions, and minimizing our resource use. We're even developing tools that harness the power of the ocean. Let's take a look. From 500 miles up in space, the Visible Infrared Imaging Radiometer Suite, or VIIRS, which is what I work on, rides aboard a satellite gathering information about our environment, like ocean chlorophyll levels or algae blooms along the coast. VIIRS is basically just a really fancy camera that's changing the way we see our planet. It has a rotating telescope to gather particles of light called photons that travel through various lenses, mirrors, and detectors to generate data that's used to identify things like emerging storm patterns. VIIRS's tracking capabilities can increase warning times on approaching hurricanes and forest fires, and this ultimately saves lives. On board a different satellite, RTX's new Glimmer instrument will collect and process information from across the electromagnetic spectrum to get a detailed view of coastal water conditions. Glimmer will provide precise measurements of ocean ecosystems in the Gulf of Mexico, parts of the US coastline, and the Amazon River. These markers can be used to detect coral bleaching and red tide, and will help decision makers rapidly respond to coastal disasters, like an oil spill. Back here on the ground, RTX is optimizing technologies that predict stream flow and flooding to better understand drought and other water quality challenges. Our goal is to help communities become a more climate-ready nation. Hundreds of RTX employees and mentors worldwide are ready to roll up their sleeves and plunge into the world of robots with you. Join us as we explore the future. By innovating together, we can create a better world with thriving, healthy oceans. Best of luck to this year's teams. Now let's make a splash.
Wow, thank you, Julie, for giving us a closer look. And thank you to the more than 500 RTX employees who are FIRST mentors. An important part of what makes FIRST is gracious professionalism. It's also at the heart of each team practice, get-together, and each and every First Tech Challenge event. Let's take a moment to hear from Senior Program Director Rachel Moore on an important message about gracious professionalism.
Thanks, Ryan. I know we're all excited to see this year's game reveal, but before we get to that, I'd like to talk a bit about something that's important and at the core of what we do, gracious professionalism. Whether you're a rookie hearing the term for the very first time, or whether, like me, you've been part of the FIRST family for a long time, this is a part of the ethos of FIRST that we can't take for granted. If you've never heard the term before, gracious professionalism is kind of like good sportsmanship. But instead of only describing how to behave when you compete, it applies to all aspects of your life. There isn't one specific definition of gracious professionalism, but it exists in the space where you and your team are performing at their best competitively, but you're also taking time to include and help others. First is a small representation of the real-life opportunities that each of you will have to make decisions which reflect gracious professionalism in your everyday life. Many of these decisions that we make may seem tiny or inconsequential, but it's the little choices that each of us make when no one is watching that all combine and fuse together to form our collective culture. It's okay that gracious professionalism is hard to define. You already know how to compete hard, and you know how to be kind. Think about how your actions make others feel and how that makes you feel. How do you feel when you can do the right thing for yourself and others? What if it's only good for you and bad for others? Would you lend a tool to a team in need or give them a spare part? What if that team is on your alliance? What if they're against your alliance later in the tournament? Later, if you didn't help that team when you knew you could, and you beat them, how proud do you feel of that win? You won't always get it right, and that's okay, because gracious professionalism is a journey, not a destination. It's something we should strive to practice every day, but none of us are perfect, and we will fall short some days. When we make a mistake, we should own it, offer a sincere apology, attempt to make amends, and then we have an opportunity to think about how we can do better in the future. First is hard. It's supposed to be. And that means at times during this season, you will feel pressure and experience stress. In those difficult times, it might seem easier to be selfish or only take your own interests into account. After all, even if you do everything the right way, there's only a handful of teams that will win their last match of the season and get to celebrate being world champions. But while there are a limited number of championship trophies, there is no such limit on the number of teams who will have a successful season. Don't waste time on being envious of others' success. Ask questions, challenge yourself, learn from others, and share your own knowledge. Does your team define goals for your season? Do they include defining what success will be? How can you set goals which will help you better practice gracious professionalism? What is one thing you're proud of that you can help another team with? And what will you ask for help with? Don't be afraid to compete, but also have fun and take time to make today a better place for someone else too. In this Into the Deep First Tech Challenge season, remember, a rising tide lifts all boats.
What an important message from Rachel. Our team coach also makes sure gracious professionalism is a priority for our team. As you and your team dive into this season, make sure you check out our video of tips for how you can practice gracious professionalism on and off the field this year.
We also want to share an enormous thank you to our fantastic game design committee, Jessica Bullen-Smith, Michael Coleman, Laura Donadio, Mark Edelman, Aaron Fadden, Manny Lowe, Joe Parado, and Kevin Rudd.
Thank you for volunteering hundreds of hours, creating, refining, and documenting this year's game, and the hundreds of hours you will spend in season. And thank you to all of our thousands of volunteers that will make Into the Deep possible for teams around the world.
And now,
The thrilling reveal of the 2024-2025 First Tech Challenge game, Into the Deep, presented by RTX.
Welcome to the First Tech Challenge 2024-2025 season game, Into the Deep, presented by RTX. A team consists of up to 2 driver operators, a human player, a coach, and a robot. Each match is played with 4 randomly selected teams, 2 per alliance. But each alliance is allowed 1 human player. Your opponent for one match may be your partner for another. Robots must be built from materials specified in the competition manual and fit within an 18-inch sizing cube. But after the match starts, robots may expand, but may never horizontally exceed a 20 by 42-inch rectangle. The primary scoring element is a plastic sample, 1.5 square by 3.5 long. There are 20 samples for the Red Alliance, 20 for the Blue Alliance, and 40 Yellow Alliance neutral samples. Another game element is the clip. Each alliance has access to 20 clips. Human players may attach clips onto samples to create specimens. The game is played on a 12-foot square playing field with a foam tile floor and 1-foot-high walls. A submersible structure is located in the center. Within the submersible are the barriers, low rungs, high rungs, low chambers, and high chambers. In opposite corners are low and high baskets. Below the baskets are the taped-off net zones. On the other corners are taped-off observation zones. On both sides of the submersible are the ascent zones. Near the front and back walls are the taped-off red, blue, and Alliance neutral preset sample zones. April tags are located on the field walls to aid navigation. Blue and red Alliance areas are on the left and right sides of the field. Before each match, 60 samples are randomly arranged in the submersible zone. 20 clips are positioned outside of each observation zone, and 12 samples are positioned on the preset sample zones. Teams place their robots on the field, touching the sidewalls. Each robot can start the match with either one specimen or one sample. The field and players are now ready. The match begins with a 30-second autonomous period. During auto, robots may attempt to score using pre-programmed instructions and sensor inputs. Following auto is the 2-minute teleoperated period. Robots score using driver inputs. There are many ways to score during the auto and teleop periods. For example, scoring a sample into the net zone earns 2 points, and scoring a sample into the low basket earns 4 points, or 8 points for scoring into the high basket. Robots may bring Alliance-specific samples to the observation zone. Human players can attach clips to the samples, turning them into specimens. Scoring a specimen on the low chamber earns 6 points, or 10 points if scored on the high chamber. Sample colors may be neutral or Alliance-specific, but specimen colors must be Alliance-specific. The last 30 seconds of the teleop period is the endgame. Robots may continue scoring, but have protected access to their ascent zones. Each robot contacting the low rung earns 3 points. If a robot achieves a low-level ascent, it earns 15 points. But a high-level ascent earns 30 points. When the match ends, a robot parked in the observation zone earns 3 points. There are many ways to score in Into the Deep, but there are also rules that, if not followed, will result in foul points being added to the opposing alliance's score. A robot cannot enter the observation zone if a human player is in that zone. Scoring elements may not be launched. During endgame, robots may not interfere with other robots in their alliance's ascent zone. This has been a summary of this season's game, Into the Deep, presented by RTX. For complete rules, please read the competition manual and check the Q&A forum. And always remember the most important rule of the First Tech Challenge: gracious professionalism. Good luck, teams, and have a spectacular season.
Wow, this game looks incredible. I can't wait to dive in with my team. A special thank you to volunteer Kevin Thorpe for the beautiful animation, and alumni director Michelle Long for narrating. For a deeper dive on gameplay strategy, visit our Game and Season page after the broadcast for links to detailed field walkthroughs with First Tech Challenge project manager Aaron Fadden and the game animation.
We can't wait to see your creative solutions and robots in action on the field. Everyone's invited to explore Into the Deep. If you haven't registered yet, there's still time to join in on the action. Visit our website for details and steps to get started. Already on a team? Check out our free social graphics, recruitment posters, logos, and more. And be sure to tag First Tech Challenge on your team's social posts. Thanks for joining us to kick off the season, and for being a part of the First community. Good luck, teams. The ocean awaits.
because there's going to be a lot of that. So be ready for that. But what you really want to see is on the other side of the skirt, because the field is there. So we're going to open this curtain, and I'm going to do a walkthrough. Tyler and I are going to walk through this with you instead of doing it through the first thing. Oh, we didn't share that? That is really interesting. So maybe okay, let's do that first, and then we'll open the door. Because I know you guys are all excited, but there's also another really big this year that my tech people are failing miserably, Tyler. So, can you put that screen back up? We are changing the entire way that we do semis and finals. Away have gone the 3-team alliances. Away have gone the win best 2 out of 3. It is more of a, those of you who are involved in sports, I think this makes more sense. It's a winner or a loser bracket. And so it's trying to make it more fair that Team 1 plays Team 4, and Team 4 is virtually eliminated, you know, really quick in most cases. So this is supposed to be streamlining some of that. The other thing that it does is we are no longer having 3-team alliances. We are only having 2-team alliances. So from now on, you will only pick one player, and you and one other team will play through your entire semi and finals with that team. So it's not picking and choosing, but you are only playing one match. Serious sound issues. Okay, Tyler's working on it. You will only play one match in each one of these rounds. Like when I first saw this, I was like, oh my goodness, we're gonna be at semis and finals forever. Because if it's best 2 out of 3 of each one of these, we're in trouble. But it's not. You play one, then you go either the winner bracket, loser bracket, and you keep going. So that is a huge change, and I cannot believe it was not on that game thing. But that's a huge change that we will talk more about, and you guys can ask more questions. But that was an interesting whatever. That is first wide. Yes, that had nothing to do with us. Trust us.
Hey, you want to keep on with the non-game updates? There's a couple other things too.
A couple non-game updates. We're just holding you guys in your seats, aren't we? What is the next one you'd like me to share? We'll talk about which one do you want to do? You have a screen? Okay, then go to the next screen and I'll talk about whatever you put up next.
All right, so next is going to be the updates to the advanced reporter.
So, if you'll notice, now a full team advances. So it's moved Inspire, second place Inspire, to being the 4th move on. So the team that wins, the winning alliance captain and their partner both move on, and then we go to Inspire 2. I'm sure, like, again, mixed emotions, but get it. Totally get it, because, I mean, you're helping somebody else move on and then not having the option to do it yourself. So I like that. Go for it, Nora. Well, now, in actuality, it's allowing for a lot more of that. Because you know that the first place alliance is going to do it, you don't have to play quite so much strategy in your head. You have to play different strategy, but you don't have to play that strategy that says, if we're only moving on, the captain of the winning alliance, I don't want to be second place. I don't, so yes, you can absolutely build. Do you need me to take that away? Oh, sorry. Nora was supposed to ask that question in a thing.
But in...
It's not, that's not on.
Is it on?
Try again, Kevin. Okay. Is it's not necessary, if you have a smaller competition, you might only be advancing places 1 and 2. Is that a possibility? I don't know that any of our competitions will be down to only 1 and 2. Okay. The only chance that might happen, we did have one last year that was 12. That would be it. But anywhere after like 13 or 14, we just are three advances to begin with. The other thing that they've done, and there's a whole chart, and you guys will see it in the comp manual, that there's a lot of, like, third place, they may, Inspire, they may not even award at a competition. It's now based on how many teams are competing in that competition. So it's 20 is the cutoff for us, because then it's a higher number that we'll never get, like, we're not at. So like 20 and under, I don't think we do third place Inspire. We also break down a little bit more of the only doing first place. Oops. There you go. So like you'll see that the 11 to 20s, and then the 21s to 40s are a different number. And in answer to Kevin's question, this doesn't matter as much as far as who we're advancing, because we do that based on all overall play and then how many teams move on from each region, or from each qualifier. So yeah, so that's a pretty big change. Do I have another one? Okay, those are the two big ones. So, lots more to come on that. Lots of stuff in the competition thing. And before I totally release you, because then it's going to just be zooey, first of all, I ordered pizza, and it will be here at 1 for anybody who's staying and wants to eat. And 2, I do have our scrimmage dates set. So, to put them into your calendars, they are the first Saturday in October, which I believe is the 5th, and then it's November 3rd, 2nd, and November 23rd, because I wanted to get to it as much as they seem close. Our first competition is already, you guys, December 7th, so I didn't want to push it further out, because then that next weekend is Thanksgiving. So those are the 3 dates. We can add more as we go along, but those are 3 that you guys should know right now. Comp dates are set for December 7th is John Jay. You're gonna read my notes. All right, no, you're fine. So comp dates are December 9th is John Jay. December 7th is John Jay. December either 14th or 15th has not been completely finalized, is Penfield / what we all call Rochester. It will either be that Saturday or Sunday. They're waiting for school to start and get there okay. January 12th is at MVCC Utica. January 18th is at Albany. And I believe Buffalo is the exact same day. They're definitely that weekend. They're either that Saturday is both of them, or one Saturday, one Sunday. Broad Alban Perth is January 26th. Clarkson is the weekend of February 1st. I don't think that's the other one that's not totally figured out. Peekskill is February 8th. Corning is February 9th. Again, this is all on the MVCC site. I just wanted to give you guys some benchmarks. And championship will be the weekend of March 8th and 9th, or 9th and, 8th and 9th. So it's 4 weeks after our last competition. Coaches' calls will start up again on the 19th, thank you. I've got the 12th and I knew it was wrong. So stuff will come out for that. Make sure you're bookmarking the MVCC page and you're going to it often, because it will keep having information. And that's all I have in my notes. So yeah, so make sure that you guys are looking at that. There will be another email that will come out relatively shortly about a few other things. All right, so I hear the curtain. Yeah. You're taking out the. All right, so here we have it, you guys. The only thing that I didn't put on, you guys should come this way. Don't feel like you have to sit there. I did not put driver boxes on here, you guys, because this isn't where this lives. So your driver boxes are going to be here for blue. And Laura, can you be right there for a second, and then there for red? You will line up your robots. Blue will be on this side touching, not in either scoring zone as normal, but then touching the wall. What was that? Yeah, these are our comp mats. They're going away. So your robots will line up, touching the field here if you're red, touching the field here if you're blue. Your human player will be right there. There hasn't been a lot put out about whether or not we're like lining them up pretty for you for the little clips or not. So I just dumped them. They may be pretty, they may not be. The 30-second timer, you go. It appears, and this is kind of a little bit interesting to me, and it'll be interesting to see, it appears that you are going to be able to have human interaction in your 30-second autonomous. Because it appears that, Tyler, James, it appears that you're going to be, if you as a team pick one up, you can put it on and then you can score it. Then once you're done, you start play. All of the actual zones, so the blue zone on this side, red zone on this side, penalties if you go in them right from the start. Like they're alliance specific and they stay there. So if you're driving around, what else? You must hang from 1 before you can hang from 2. In order to get points in the game, you cannot go straight to 2. You have to physically hang from rung number 1 and then bring yourself to rung number 2. Those of you who are in this room that are my refs, heaven help us. Because it has to happen within the last 30 seconds, but it has to be a clear hang. And then once you're hanging from rung number 2, you cannot be touching anything else. You cannot be supported by rung number 1 at all. You have to be free hanging from there. Clips go on these, and that's where you get the points from. And what else do I got, Tyler? I mean, it's fairly straightforward until you guys start asking me questions. Go for it, Nora. So, I did it. I have somewhere here. Oh, sorry. The question is, what are the autonomous bonuses? The answer is not much, except that they count twice. So here is a 1-page game page. Thank you. That everybody can have, but there's your scoring. Your scoring in autonomous is the same scoring as in teleop, but we're scoring it at the end. So anything that you've done in autonomous, anything that's in a basket, anything that's hung, will then score again at the end of teleop. You can only hang in the last 30 seconds. And the other option is you can park. This time you can park at an observation, either like in teleop or in autonomous. And as you look at them, they're not they are going to end up, so somebody's looking at the baskets. The baskets will also get zip tied. So these look like they're going to come off. They're not actually going to come off. There was I believe we're zip tying. We may be zip tying. Yeah, we may be zip tying in more than one way, but again, that was kind of all right, we're going to end up moving this whole field, so it didn't get zip tied, but they will be more secure. You may only have one possession at a time. So your possession limit is 1. Sorry, the question was, is there any limit to how many you can have? And the answer to that is yes, you can only have 1. Give me just a second, Evan, before I forget my thought. So it's a lower scoring game. If you guys look at game manual or look at this thing, things are worth 2, 3, 5, 10 points. They're not as high as they normally are. Penalties this year is 5 points for a minor, 15 points for a major. So they've also lowered them a little bit to try to, which has always been a conversation, is that you can make these whatever you want, and it's all relative. So just as you're looking at that, keep in mind that penalties are lower this year too. There's still minors, there's majors. Go for it, Nevin. Oh, were you going to ask it up? I just knew that I would forget, if I did it. Is it on there? Okay. What other questions? If you're on the Red Alliance, can you pick up from the center on the side where the blue bars are, in front of there?
Tyler, the answer to that is yes, right? Can you pick up from the blue side to get your red?
Entrance until end game. Entrance is new.
Okay.
You can enter from any side of this up until end game.
But if we're on the Red Alliance and we're picking up, are we going to get called for blocking them from hanging?
You have to be out of there before they hang.
No, hanging specimens on those blue bars.
To be determined, but probably. Definitely an end game, that's what's been discussed. But yeah, I think it's going to be like in all of our other stuff, it becomes how long are you staying here? You can't just hang out here so they can't get here. But at this point, as long as they have more ways to get on, but for the hanging is where you're going to get it, is if they're trying to hang and you're in their way. There's going to be a time, I'm sure there's going to be a time frame. Sure, hold on.
You have to start hanging before the end game?
You cannot start hanging until end game has started. You have to be hanging at the end of the buzzer.
Okay.
It's very specific this year. We get to stop with this. Did you start at the buzzer? Are you done by the end of the buzzer? You must be hanging at the end of that 3-second buzzer. Yeah, that I'm very excited about that one. Is anybody watching our YouTube and other feed? Okay.
Has the definition of hanging changed since last year?
In what way?
Is it the same criteria? We are not allowed to be touching the ground or assisted on any other game element, even for the first rung? Because you said we can't touch anything on the second rung.
First rung, in order.
Okay. Thank you.
You should put your mic on. So the answer to Tyler's answer to that question was that you have to be fully supported. Because there is 3 scoring elements too. There's this, then this, then this. You will be considered, if you're hanging on this and touching this, you're going to get scored for rung number 1. You cannot be touching this rung at all. You have to, what? You cannot be touching rung number 1 to get your points for rung number 2. You have to be fully supported, and
Yeah, you got to be able to, flip back and forth, but yes. That's for stage 3. So if you're touching this and you're touching this bar, either with something that's fallen off your robot, something by design to steady you, then you just get counted for rung 1.
I assume that it is illegal to descore opposing teams' scored elements.
Oh, yeah.
Just
yep. No
restate it, just-
descoring. No descoring allowed.
If you accidentally knock off a specimen while you're trying to attach one on, would that count as a penalty, or would you just lose the
You're going to be descoring yourself. Yeah. So I don't believe it would be a penalty because you're going to lose the points for not scoring. I, again, have not seen the actual scoring tablet. Yes. But I assume that we're going to count that up at the end. So you also could pick it back up and put it back on. But at that point, yes, we're only scoring whatever is hanging.
So if you descore a game element and it falls back onto your robot, that will be
That will be very sad because now you have you will have possession of 1 and you're done.
Right. So
it's considered 1. So a specimen, a sample in this would be 1. I haven't even played with these enough. So that would be 1. But if it falls into your robot, yes, that really kind of stinks because your possession is 1. So. Yep. That is a penalty. Yep. So these. Yes. The hook coming off is not going to be super easy. I will tell you, this is me pulling. And it's not, it goes, you can pick your orientation. So there is not a right or a wrong way to attach these. However, it works with your robot. It's the same kind of penalty, so you can just make sure if you interfere with an autonomous, you're going to have the same major penalty. So, but yes, because these are specific, are neutral, yes, if you wanted to come this way, grab this, and then come over here if you were red, you could. Right. Starting squares, anywhere that is not a scoring. So from here to here. Yep, anywhere within, they have not come out with. And again, you guys, keep in mind, there is a new game manual that has dropped right now. Because they did not, I had the comp manual and I was going to print them all for you guys. And they said, do not, because we're dropping a new comp manual at 12:30. So some of these questions also may change. It may be that we can only go in these 3. But as of right now, it's just anywhere that's not within a scoring zone. Ethan, wait a second. Ethan, we needed. Oh, okay. Okay, I will repeat your question. To make it, I believe that that's going to count, but no. So the question was, does it have to actually be clipped on? And the answer is, I don't believe that I've seen anything that says it actually needs to be clipped. So that will count, but it's giving you a much more chance that it's also going to get knocked off. So. It's still descoring. So the question was, what if the opposing team knocks off your clip? It's descoring your opposing alliances, and I'm not sure if it's a minor or a major.
Testing 1, 2.
I know it can only be in possession of 1 specimen, but could you push specimens towards your side, and would that count as possession? Multiple at a time?
Yeah, I know. And don't ever, ever count on the video. Ever. But it would, we've always allowed plowing when it's not a strategic advantage. But, you know, if it's just like, in this case, you're not going to be able to plow this mess of stuff, right? So plowing those, it's really going to become a matter of intent and did you get an advantage by pushing them? All three of them go in there, you're going to get a penalty. You know what I mean? Because that intent, that is a very obvious intent, and I don't know if anybody can see me or what is being said, but on your feed, if you took all three of those that were on the spikes and pushed them into the observation, there would be a penalty. And I don't know how many times and how to say it to you guys, but oh my God, you human players. Like, I just keep looking at this going, wow. And you robot drivers. Like, you cannot be in that observation when they're picking something out or putting something back in. As soon as they break the plane of this, their hand, we're calling it. It's a safety thing. It's past anything that we have control over at this point because, you know, I mean, you stick your hand in there and then you get creamed. So really, really, that's practice. Go for it, Nora.
So I kind of have two questions.
Okay.
One is if I'm on red and I accidentally grab a blue one, I forget what they're called.
Yeah, a blue specimen or sample.
Like especially in autonomous, if I grab that and I score it, is that a penalty?
It's not a penalty, but I don't believe it counts.
Okay.
If you were by accident to score an opposing at all, even in autonomous. All right, so Nora, Tyler's saying it's a penalty. I'm saying I know it's not scored, and that's a good Q&A question. Because the only things that are going to count for scoring when we score is either neutral or red for here. Okay, yeah, you certainly can't score it. No, perfect. No, that we love that. Okay, so Dave, again, momentarily can touch it, but have to release it. Certainly cannot score it, because then it's a penalty.
How many of the specimens can be in the corner at a time?
I have not seen, so the question, I guess everybody can hear you. I have not seen it written up that you couldn't have 6 of them in there. There's not an actual number. The thing is, you have to have people be bringing them to you one at a time. So I'm not sure that you're going to end up with 10 of them over there at any given time unless you're not paying attention and you're not putting clips on, because really you should be getting them ready to go. The one thing that I did see that I saw in both the video and in the comp manual, your human player can hang it by this. If that's an easier way for your team to pick them up, well, not even, and I mean, yeah, or like that, rest it. Don't push it, but just rest it. So at this point, they have said that that's how you can put them. Has to stay within, so like that one, the one that I added, I would question a little bit. I think I'm in, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, you know, like that's not going to count. Again, with the ins and outs, just like with everything else, the rest of them, as long as it's breaking the plane of the outside of the tape, it is considered in. Over here as well, as long as it's breaking the plane, it's considered in and it's in play. So, and they also said something, oh, I know why they said this. So when you score in the basket, one of the baskets, you're not getting, you don't get the net zone. So in these zones, you only get you have 3 choices. You have floor, You have basket 1, you have basket 2. It's not like if you're in basket 2, you also get the floor, which is a question that comes up every year of, can I hang and be over there, and can I whatever. Same thing with that. If you're hanging in endgame, you cannot be parked. Some of that went away because really tape measures this year are not going to be a big thing because you can't extend that far. But last year, by the end of last year, people started asking, can I do both? And you can't. All right, so no, you only have to break the plane. That's, yeah. So, no. So we're looking over here, for those of you on their screen, if you can be, most of your specimen can be out, and just a little bit of the clip is breaking the plane. Right now, from this rule, the answer would be yes, because right now, one part of you is breaking the plane. I'm going to say, guessing, that there'll be some clarification on that, and it may clarify either way.
In answer to the question about what side the robots can be in auto, it says basically if you are on your side of the field, another robot from the other side can't interfere with you. You can venture onto the opposing side of the field at your peril. But if you cause any interference, then that's a problem, and you are not allowed to touch the 6 samples that are pre-positioned on the other side of the field. So you couldn't like go and get the other 3 yellow blocks. Yellow? Are those yellow?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Color words.
Yeah. Yeah, so yellow is neutral, so you guys you can do whatever you want with those. You can't. Okay. Yeah, well, all right, and I do believe the other thing that I have not seen anywhere, like if you look, I just dumped boxes into this. There are some on top of each other. Nowhere have I seen that everything has to be flat on the ground. So do keep in mind that the potential, I mean, it's random. So when we're redoing the field, we're just tossing them in. We're only caring about the fact that, the only thing that's not, like there's too many red, too many blues in there. Because the other thing that you get is your robot gets one. So you're, oh really? Huh, okay, I don't know about that. Right, you can have one. So you can do whatever you want with it. You can, and I mean, you have as many clips as you have samples. So there are 20 clips, there are 20 samples. You can't put a clip on a net neutral sample. So yellow cannot get clips. Yep, so only in the baskets, yep. Yeah, right. The yellow is only scoreable here. That's not square. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Right. So. All right. I don't. Is anybody? What? Okay.
So one of the questions online is, can the robots reuse samples that go into the corner, like take it out and push it back in? They can, but you're not going to get an additional point for removing that and pushing it back in. Right, what you can do is pull it out and put it into a higher zone, or pull it out and bring it over to the driver's station to get a clip put on it.
I mean, some of the best ways to think about this, you guys, is remember how we score. And we score at the end of the match. So whatever you've done during the match, if you change it, you're not going to get the score.
Robots may momentarily exceed control limits while collecting samples that are in the submersible zone. And scored samples or specimens from the corresponding alliance are exempt from the control limit. So that means, like, if you plow into things that are in your corner, that doesn't count as controlling them. And then the other thing is that control is considered that you fully support the sample or specimen by the robot, or intentionally push a sample or specimen to a desired location or in a preferred direction. So basically this means that in the video we're showing pushing 3, that's control.
Yeah, again, never count on the video. It's a cartoon, so they can do things that we could never dream of doing anyway. So, second question.
Other question is, where does the preload element come from? The preload element will come out of the middle pile.
Right.
So the 6 that are on the spikes for each alliance will stay. Your preloads we will pull out of the submersible, I think we're calling it. So we're pulling out of the center submersible area.
So really there's only 18 of each color in the submersible, because the 2 will go there. If you don't want to use it, a preloaded, it will go back into the submersible. Yes, or you can preload a yellow.
Another question, for the ascent in the last 30 seconds, can a robot attempt that multiple times and get the score multiple times and return to base? No.
No.
So that is scored at rest at the end of the match. So if you hang, you can get the points. If you come back down, you lose the points. So it's wherever your robot is at the end of the 3-second end game buzzer.
Right, at the
is
end.
where you're
Rules
scoring.
also state here that you must start the ascent from outside. So if you fall down and you end up inside,
you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And your first scoring is just touching this. So when I initially looked at it, I was like, you have to go over it, whatever. No, your robot just touching this base will count as the your floor level. What do you mean? They said
The level 1 hang is touching the middle bar.
yes.
So she keeps saying level 1, talking about the level 1 bar. But there's
Sorry.
there's 3 stages of hang.
There is.
Level 1 hang is touching the bar. Level 2 hang is being off the ground. Level 3 hang is the robot being completely above the second bar, or the first bar.
States that the level 2 hang, like if you try to get the top rung and you're still touching the lower rung, that's okay. Level 2 hang is touching the low rung and optionally the high rung. Level 3 hang is
So, because you have the manual in front of you, if you're grabbing this bar and you're floating off the ground, that's a level 2?
Right, but if you're trying to get to the level 3, but you haven't released the level 2, that's still a level 2.
Right.
So it's that you're allowed to touch multiple bars at once without any problem. You're still a level
Right.
Perfect.
Right.
So technically a level 1 hang isn't hanging.
Right.
Technically a level 1
It's called an
hang.
ascent, not a hang.
A level 1 ascent is you're still actually on the floor. Grab Ethan's going to bring you a mic so we can hear you.
If you intend to go to level 2 hang, can you go to level 1 hang before the end game, or is that?
Yeah, you can do it. No, you cannot be attempting anything until the 30-second buzzer happens. These are off limits until the 30-second hang. I believe, yes, because you can get from this side. You can get from all sides. What this is making sure that when you start to hang, the opposing alliance cannot touch you in this zone.
So this says a robot is considered ascending once it is attempting to achieve an ascent level, and ascended once it has received ascent level. So during non-end game, do not touch those bars.
Right, right.
The round bars you cannot touch. The round bar you cannot touch. The square one is not considered a bar in this context. Or rung, I'm sorry. You cannot touch a rung, we use the game-specific terms, because that would be considered ascending. Once it's in the end game, you can, and once you do it, you're starting an ascent.
That being said, though, I would imagine that if you hit the bottom of that bar as you're trying to grab or something, that's not attempting to ascend, so I would think you'd be fine, but I wouldn't risk it. It says don't touch the bar at all.
A robot is considered ascending once it is attempting to achieve an ascent level, and so that you can argue, is it attempting to achieve it by touching that accidentally?
Right.
You know, that's an intent consent.
In general, avoid the bar.
Yeah, and there'll be lots more, you guys. When you get to finally look at the comp manual, it's actually really funky because it's, the first thing is the rule, then it starts all this supporting document, and then it talks about the fouls and the penalties. So that book is really, really important, and will give you everything you need.
Is there a vertical height limit?
I have not seen one.
There is not a vertical height limit. on these robots.
There is not a
Right,
vertical
so
height limit.
your extension limit is length and width, but your height limit is unlimited. But keep in mind that you cannot go from the floor straight to the second pipe. In order to
Yes.
Oh, for those you're fine, yeah. Yeah, just the only place where there's any sort of height restriction is that you can't go from the floor to the second pipe. In order to grab that second pipe, you have to be off the floor. Yeah, I'm gonna go check Zoom real quick. Zoom is empty, so I'm gonna go. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go end the Zoom then, and I'm gonna give YouTube about 5 more minutes. And if there's no more questions on YouTube in the next 5 minutes, we're gonna kill that stream too.
All right, I'm not sure. Oh, I am still live. Sorry. Pizza has arrived, so as soon as we get cups and stuff like that out, we should all eat. And then before each team leaves, make sure you take, we will give you one of the samples, and we will give you one of the hooks so that you can take them with you. Ask questions, measure. We have some tape measures if you guys want to use them. And if our printer is not completely awful, I may try to print you guys a couple of comp manuals so you guys can have them. Our printer has a mind of its own. Either it's happy or it's not, and we'll figure out right now what it is. Whoops, that's in there though. It is in an attic, but that's not a problem. That's still there's still a plug. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Shoes off. These mats are actually comp mats, so we do have to have everybody take shoes off. Unlike in most RoboVines worlds where we have some awful mats, these are actually comp mats that are going to go back away. Take your shoes off if you're going to walk on them. Let's go for it. Okay, those of you on the YouTube stream, I am going to end the broadcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sticking with us for the day. We hope you all have a great season, and for those of you in the Excelsior region, we will see you at a competition. Our instructions are really